Somebody popped round for a cup of coffee the other day. It was lovely to see them. I said, oh, come on in. I said, it's just lucky because I've just lit my wood-burning stove. I have a wood-burning stove in my kitchen. It's called an Essie Ironheart. I love it. It's great. I go out and I chop the kindling. I get the fire going. It warms up the kitchen and I can cook on it. Warms up my hot water. And, of course, if it's not a nice day, I can hang my clothes after they've been washed and they'll dry as well. So it's very nice. And the great thing I love about having a wood burning stove for me is that I buy the wood locally, so the money stays in the economy, the local economy, and I'm supporting an independent business, you know, a sole trader, and so it feels good, you know. It's instead of giving the money to a large corporation who don't really value me as a customer. My friend John, he comes with his lorry and he bungs the wood into the backyard there where I live, and it's great, and I can see the quality of the wood, and we have a good old natter. Anyway, this chap came round for a nice cup of coffee and he looked at me and he said, oh, you won't be able to keep that for very long. I said, what do you mean? He said, oh no, the new energy bill, they'll be able to come and force their way into the house, you know, and force you to get off that, take that away. And you'll have to have one of these smart meters, and you'll have to have an electric heat pump or some other an approved system by the government. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, hold on a second. Isn't this a free country? Isn't this a democratic country? Aren't we the people who put the government in position? Aren't we the ones, the people, the sovereign people of this world? Aren't we the ones in this country that pay the government to do our bidding? And he laughed and he chortled. He said, well, I suppose so, but they seem to think that they are our masters. And I said to him, isn't that the problem? That we keep letting them think that they are our masters and that they can dictate to us and they can tell us how things are and that they can make up their legislation on a whim and we pay them to do that. I said, this is a ridiculous situation, isn't it? And he did laugh again and he said, yeah, it is. And I thought, well, why aren't we doing something about that? Why are we allowing our servants, and these may be the government in situ, the councillors who are telling us what we're going to have, you know, these cameras and restrictions on our liberty. Why aren't we not telling them? And he said, well, what can we do? And I said, well, we just got to remind them who they are, put them on notice, tell them that they are our servants. Just remind them, by the way, dear MP, whoever your MP is, I mean, we could easily, all of us, send a letter to our MP, could we not? And just say to him, dear MP, I just want to get in touch with you and just let you know, by the way, that you are our servant. We pay for you. We pay for the government. We pay for the council. You should be doing our bidding, not the other way round. I've noticed that sometimes you seem to have got a bit above your station. I'm sure you didn't realise that. I'm sure somewhere along the line the waters have got a bit muddled. And so I'm just letting you know in a very kind way to let you know that actually we are your bosses because we pay you, we put you into power, we're the ones. After all, there's more of us. We live in this land, we all get on and we all want to get on. And it's not for you to dictate or to be tyrannical and tell us how it is, because you should be working for us. You should be helping us. You're supposed to be our servants and do our bidding. You're supposed to be a kind, benevolent, philanthropic government that is there to make sure that our lives are to the best that they can possibly be. And should some of us decide, you know, we're not really following this nonsense of man-made global warming, and after all, the logic is, even if it was true that here in Britain we're barely putting any contribution to the amount of CO2 that's going into the atmosphere anyway, compared to other countries, that actually we don't need to go down these draconian routes with these really sort of restrictive measures which are causing people a lot of hardship. The government shouldn't be causing anybody any hardship. They should be working extremely hard, because we pay you, to make our lives more fun and less hard. And you certainly shouldn't be dictating to us any terms. For example, forcing people to have smart meters if they don't want them. We're sovereign people. We make up our own minds. That's why you're there. That's why you are, by the way, with greatest of respect, you are our servants. You do our bidding. Now, and I said to my friend, I said, well, we could do that, couldn't we? We could just write to our MPs en masse. We could write to the government. I mean, personally, I think that people are beginning to realise that this whole system, this corporate Britain, this system in which is there really to get against us, is broken, and that we've got to sort of realise that we've got to have a change in our attitude. We've got to stand up for ourselves. We've got to take back that responsibility and say, actually, no, we're not having your nonsense, because we are the sovereign people. We've got to grow up, haven't we? We've got to work out, actually, we're the people in charge. But we could write to them and put them on notice and say, actually, if you don't change your ways, then we're saying that we are going to no longer need your services. And if people just tell them and put them on notice and say, we no longer need your services, if you won't do our bidding, if you won't actually make our lives easier and stop this tyrannical dictatorship, then we will no longer fund you. We no longer pay these taxes. And what will you do if nobody is paying you? What will you do? You're not our bosses. This is something that we desperately need to remind them, because they seem to have, I don't know why, they've just swallowed a pill, I think, and they thought, oh, we can do carte blanche, whatever we damn well like. They voted us in and they're sort of laughing at us. Well, they'd be laughing on the other side of their faces when many, many people are getting in touch with them and just reminding them who they actually are. We're in charge, thank you very much. This is our country, and, you know, we're claiming it back. And so if you want a wood-burning stove, if you want to have a unique way of life, if you want to live off-grid, for example, if you want to have animals, if you want to do those things in which the government has decided, oh, no, 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 you can't have that, and here's a whole load of restrictions in our legislation. Actually, you are our servants. You should be doing our bidding. And if you don't like it, well, I'm really sorry, but we are the sovereign people. And ultimately, of course, we could just turn our backs, make them completely irrelevant, run the country the way we want to run it. We could go to self-rule. I think it's quite possible that actually us, the people, could do a far, far better job and decide for ourselves. We could set up, for example, a shadow government, a completely shadow government that puts them on notice and says, actually, we'll scrutinise everything that you do, and if we don't like it, we'll overrule it, because we're the sovereign people. There are ways and means, and so we must remember we are the ones in charge, not them.